Okay. So, Wilson,
Yes.
Wizards of the Coast.
Bro, there's just some companies out there that you think that they're in it not for the money but for the actual community, and then they pull shit like this, and then you're just like, every company is just filled with corporate greed, and this is no exception. I will say this, right? I think before they were acquired by Hasbro, I think they were doing good. And I think they actually took in a lot of community feedback, and they were like, okay, maybe we can switch the game so that people really are positive towards this aspect of the game. So let's work on that, and that's why 5e was so great, because it was so modular. People could add new things to it, and it was so intuitive. So you can have like 10 different campaigns, all with like different homebrew, but it still works because it's the base 5e system. It's like they gave you a foundation, and you can build endless worlds out of it, right? But with this
Exactly.
new shit, this new idea, it's so dumb because, yeah, the same thing still exists. There's still the platform, but now it's sort of like a gated community where it's like you either have to opt in and pay for it, and they can kick you out of the whole gaming license whenever they feel like it, or you have no other way to create your content, right?
And the thing is, it's fine. You can create your content. You can still create your content, but just know that hey, if you decide to publish it in any way, heck, even if you make it free, Wizards of the Coast can easily come in and just decide that hey, you're a great idea for an amazing world and some really cool items and stuff and some really amazing races. Yeah, that's ours now, and we might end up putting it in like some of our content because Wizards of the Coast. The main reason they're doing this, and I see it. Last year, I saw an article they were shopping around to do D&D movie, D&D live action show, D&D animated series, all that good stuff. They saw the success of Critical Role with their whole stick. They raised enough money to go ahead and get a show that they put on Amazon. And I'm pretty sure that left Wizards feeling like, hey, why don't we try to get into this bag of creating content? And as you know, when it comes to creating like a big multimedia franchise, the one thing you don't want is people who you deem others to be making content in a similar name or vein as yours. So this new OGL, it's really about them locking down the IP and basically gatekeeping it away from anyone who they feel could be competition to them. And not only that, they're basically screwing over all their competition with the new OGL because all the people who are making all this custom content and cool stuff that I know I use a lot of their stuff and like just one shots and stuff. A lot of people's stuff. They take this content and they're like, yeah,
All
yeah,
that time and
retroactively, we want it
effort
to
you
be
put in,
ours.
all that time,
Yeah,
effort, and work. Yeah, no, 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 no. See, now it's ours.
yeah, and people might be wondering why we're even making this video. It got announced like a week ago. Well, we started the channel a day ago, and D&D is something that hits close to home for us. That's how we met. Most of our group of friends, we met playing D&D. We met online playing D&D. And it's just been a thing that we do a lot of the time. It's one of our favorite things to do. So, heck, last video you introduced me as Michael or Nando, and it's like, well, that's just one of my D&D characters, and that's how they knew me for the first few months was. But D&D means a lot to a lot of people. But to see a company taking such a screw you approach to the fan base and the community that made D&D what it is today, it makes people not even want to deal with Wizards of the Coast. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that, okay, well, if Wizards of the Coast is going to be like this, I'm going to cancel my subscription to D&D Beyond. I'm going to stop buying Wizards of the Coast content, and I'm going to switch to a different gaming system. A lot of these gaming systems that they're talking about switching to, Pathfinder, different systems, Means of Mastermind, stuff like that, they're all looking at it and they're like, hey, this stuff ain't that bad. And if Wizards is going to be such an asshole, for lack of a better term, about this new OGL, where they initially were planning for the changes to the OGL to be retroactive, meaning they would have access to all the previously created content by everyone in the community. It really just goes to show how they don't give a damn about us. They don't care. All they care about is making that bottom line higher and higher and higher until, hey, we bled all our fans dry. Oh well, they'll continue to buy anyway.
I think
And we're not gonna do it.
I think there is something to be said about the way that okay, I will play devil's advocate here. All right. I think at one point or another, because Wizard of the Coast sold the company to Hasbro, which has been notorious for being essentially a leech and a vampire towards its consumers, its direct, buyers. With Transformers, with Barbies, and the whole Bratz thing. I think if if they want to stay true to D&D, which is about creating these fantastical worlds and everything, I think the best thing they could have done is come up with like maybe a partnership program where you could have licensed creators, kind of like Matt Mercer, who create content for Wizards of the Coast in connection, in coordination with them, right? Because Wizard of the Coast and D&D in and of itself is a great foundation to create your own stories. Like it gives you like the rules in which it's like the box within the build your sandbox adventure kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So if they really wanted to, it could be like the MCU, not to make it drastic, right? It is very much like the MCU where you have like alternate realities and it's all the same story is being retold in different aspects, right? It's
Yeah,
always a story between good versus evil, or the young new adventurer against an ancient old foe, or something. The themes are always the same, but the context and the settings is always different. And D&D is very unique in its aspect for the most part because it lets you operate in theater of the mind, right? And so it essentially is a very unique gaming experience. Even no matter how much you play Minecraft, there's only so much you can do because you're limited by what you have. But because D&D is essentially your own imagination, there's just so many more opportunities and possibilities. And the fact
but
that
that goes
Wizard
for any TTRPG.
Fair enough. I say this because it is the biggest thing. Because here's the thing: with this OGL, they were essentially making a precedent that these companies, if if this thing goes through and their sales are still steady and their bottom line is still steady, that just goes to show other companies, hey, you can fuck around with your consumers as well, and they can't do a damn about it. They're still going to be buying your product. So I think it's very important that we talk about this and we make it clear to Wizards of the Coast by getting rid of our subscriptions for D&D Beyond because that's the only metric they see, right?
That yeah,
All
they recently had an announcement. Well, it wasn't an announcement by Wizards of the Coast. It was a rogue employee who went out and they sent out a memo basically. Um, Wizards of the Coast, they're walking some aspects of the new OGL back because originally it was supposed to be retroactive. But according to Wizards, they're like, oh no, it's not going to be retroactive. It's just going to be any new stuff. However, this employee went on to say that basically Wizards of the Coast, they want to push this through regardless. They're going to try to push this through regardless, unless the backlash is so big and they start seeing a downturn in profits because of it. So as a community, we have to stand together. We have to cancel those subscriptions. We have to stop buying their books. We have to not do anything that would give them the money or the mindset that hey, we are going to accept this. We're gonna suckle your teeth for new content, and regardless of what you do to us, we got Stockholm syndrome essentially, and we can't let that spread to other aspects of entertainment because look at gaming. Look at where gaming has gone, and look at the way some games are monetized nowadays. Do you know how much it cost if you were to buy all of the Sims content?
easily within the hundreds, for sure.
Hundreds?
I mean, I would argue it would go into the thousands, would it not?
Yes.
Bro, it's
Well, no.
insane.
That's if you're in Canada. I was thinking of Canadian, but basically, if you let's say you wanted to buy all 34 of the Sims 4's expansions,
There's
games, and stuff,
34 of it,
yeah,
34 expansions.
which is fair because the Sims is that type of game, but it's all priced at like 10, 15, $20. It
I
would
mean,
run
considering how
you.
many books that 5e has, just official books, and then if Wizard of the Coast wants to take down everything that is made by the community, which is leagues more, you can see where their incentive is, right? There's a lot of incentive for them to do this because there's so much money and there's such a big market. And
They and
that's why I'm saying I understand why they would do this. It's not like a dumb thing.
it's not a
It's
dumb thing.
it's
It's just,
smart. It's smart.
but
However, you're
it
screwing
comes at the
around.
cost of the
Exactly.
community.
Exactly.
Like the community, like let's say about a year and a half ago, last year you made fun of wizards, people would get mad at you because it's like they're being pretty good, they're being pretty okay because they were doing what they needed to do as a company, they were putting out content, there was nothing to really complain about. But now that they're trying to go change this OGL, they have the community pissed at them. The community changed up on them so fucking rapidly that it's ridiculous, and that's because they're basically spitting in our face, and
And I
it's frustrating because they bought in a new CEO over the project. And you know what the first thing this person said was?
what
D&D is under monetized. D&D makes about 150 million a year, which that's not a low number, but compared to some of their other IPs, it's a low number. The
I
reason that D&D can consistently make that amount of money is because the community supports it. And if you burn all that community trust and goodwill that we have for the company, you're going to end up making even less than that.
I think this is a very big reflection of the way things are currently, like with the marketplace in general, right? There's like as you were talking about gaming, think about how many games and how many like movies have their creators always telling fans, "Hey, if you don't like it, don't watch it, don't buy it." I don't
And
care
then
about
people don't.
exactly. You hear this phrase very often, and I think it's gonna come. It's gonna come into the cultural zeitgeist more and more, where it's like go woke, go broke, right? And it really is. There is a huge demographic of people who are just not as progressive, and that's just a part of the market. But it's a big and vocal majority. I genuinely think, and I think for Wizards of the Coast,
No, it's the quiet minority. That's why they keep pushing this stuff. It's the loud minority that gets in there and they put these ideas in companies' heads that, hey, you have to change. You need to make that thing. The majority is usually pretty silent and they put up with it, and that's the problem.
I think we as consumers really have to think: is the product that we're buying worth it? Is the company that creates this product making it for us or because of us? Right? I think we really need to think about the things that we buy. Is it because it's good for us? One, two,
The things that we buy.
right, right. Is the company that makes it a good company? Like ethically speaking, I think a lot of companies are bad. Just because of the way companies are, right? They always have alternative intentions, right? So
Yeah,
I think for Wizards of the Coast, right? Yes, I mean a lot of this stuff is about marketing and money, and so it's a lot of corporate greed. But I think a secondary thing about this is they want to get more work, but not through their own employees because of the way this thing is worded, like this OGL, this open gaming license. The way that it's worded is if anyone in the community wishes to make content, they can take control of it and they can profit off of it, right? They can resell it essentially. So
yeah.
they don't have to put in the
Not
effort.
only
They,
that,
they don't have to put
they
in the
they get
effort.
royalties. They get
Exactly.
royalties off of the content you create, and they can basically take ownership. Not exactly ownership, but they basically get a license to use your content however they want if they decide to take your
It's
content.
passive income essentially.
It's a lot of passive income because now effectively the employees, okay, well, I'm liking ideas today. They're sitting in the boardroom, working on
Oh
stuff
wow,
for
this guy in
the
Reddit
game.
had this really insane idea for an anime D and
Exactly.
D. I'll take that. Give me all your money.
Exactly. Run it. Gimme. And it's ridiculous because that's effectively highway robbery, and they want the members of the community to sign off on being robbed. And I don't think that's right. Any company that does something like this is predatory. They're basically trying to become legal thieves. And I mean, it's so far gone from what we've been used to for the last 20-ish years. I think the original OGL came about in like 2000, 2001. It's such a great departure from what we previously had that it becomes a question of where is this company headed? Where is this game headed? And if it's heading in this direction, what else can I play?
Another
Because
thing,
a lot of people are looking at Pathfinder, they're looking at Millions and Masterminds, they're looking at a bunch of other different gaming systems, and they're like, hey, this stuff is really similar, but it's different enough to where it'll be fresh, and these companies aren't doing this. They just gave their competitors with the new OGL, they did while they did mess over a lot of them, and those other companies are gonna need time to recoup and reset on their practices. They just pushed away a large portion
of
of
their player
the
base.
actual player base to those other games. So when those companies do get up and running, they're gonna be outperforming D&D left and right. Don't be surprised if D&D falls right up out of the mainstream because of this.
I also think
I
it's
won't be
very
surprised.
interesting how easily all of the goodwill for years has been shattered in just the briefest of times, right? Like I'm not gonna say that before this, like a week before this, Wizard of the Coast had like no negative player base, right? Like there's a lot of people who were like, 3.5 was better, or first edition is best edition, or whatever. I highly doubt it, but
Yeah, no, no.
there. I'm not saying that people didn't like other editions or didn't like the things that Wizard of the Coast were doing. But just if you look at how quickly everybody turned against Wizard of the Coast for just this and how quick that time frame was, Wizard of the Coast D&D has been a a thing for what, more than
Decades
3,
now.
yeah, it's been like 3 decades, 4 decades or something. I, it's astonishing to me just how quickly all of that goodwill can be shattered because of the simplest of vices, right? And it really goes to show that people don't really people will deal with a lot of shit, but when things reach a boiling point, everything goes. All of the
This is the
goodwill,
type
all
of
of the
thing that has
marketplace. Mm-hmm.
Gary just rolling in his grave.
Mm-hmm.
This is the and I don't like to bring up the dead when I make these types of statements about where their work has gone,
Mm-hmm.
but this is legitimately the type of thing that will make Gary Gygax roll in his grave.
I think another like it is. I'm trying to find the right words for this. I'm curious to see how this will play out and if they can even recoup maybe even half of like content creators, people on YouTube who actually make D&D videos and make a living by
Off
creating
of
by creating content, creating books. Because I, again, as you've said before, you and I met because of D&D, and I'll go out there and I'll say it. I was watching Rustage's D&D, One Piece D&D 2 years ago, and I went to his Discord and I met with like-minded people, and one of them decided, "Hey, I'll be a DM and I'll run your first campaign for you." It's been 2 years since that campaign has started, and it still has gone like what 60% of the way through. This is
yeah, we're only
something
60 way through.
I will admit. I am a new uh I'm a new player to a lot of D&D. I haven't been around for very long. I haven't, been there since decades past. However, my love for the series and what it's done for me and for everyone that I've met, I think it is interesting to me to see if they, no matter how much they backtrack on this, I genuinely want to see if they can get a majority of people to come back to it. Because here's the thing, you never
Mhm.
know if this shit is going to change. They could be like, oh man, we're sorry, you know, corporate greed, oh no, we're so naive, and they'll roll it back. But what's to say they won't just try and push this through, like in some sort of update later on, right? Like, if it can happen once, it can happen again, right?
Exactly. And that's what Wizards is banking on. They're banking on everyone gets mad right now. Okay, we do a
It'll
little
die
revision on
down,
this
and then they'll push it
OGL, it'll
back
die
again
down,
like
and we'll
five
just
years
put it
down the
back.
line.
Not even 5 years down the line. I wouldn't be shocked to see the community get so outraged they start losing profits left and right, and they pull it back for a year and then try to reintroduce it next year. That would not shock me because they think that people have such low attention spans that they're not going to get as much heat. They're going to see a significant loss in profit from this.
Keep in mind, one D&D is still in development. It hasn't even been
Exactly.
released yet. So the
And
fact
you're
that
already pissing off the community to the point where they can look at one D&D and be like, "Yeah, we're not getting into this." Which is sad because I think one D&D so far, based off of some of the releases that they've put out, some of the things they put into the I forget the playtest content, um, some of those changes are really good. Like races no longer giving you stat bonuses, only giving you features, and the stat bonuses now going to backgrounds. I think that's a really, really good change.
I don't know,
It
man,
makes backgrounds relevant.
those martial classes really be lacking. I ain't gonna lie.
The martial classes,
I mean, it's called Wizards for a reason, right?
yeah, it's Wizards of the Coast. It's Wizards of the Coast, not Warriors of the Coast.
You know what? We just need to create a alternative company, and we'll take the lights at the back.
But then again, now you look at some of the other stuff they're doing, like look at the Magic stuff. This company is strictly being run for profit at this point. They're releasing so many cards that are going to get set rotated out anyway that people will just have to buy more packs to get more stuff, buy more individuals, everything like that, and it's just ridiculous. They are really trying to drive this company into the ground.
And not even that. Think about when this is occurring with all of this like inflation and the fear of recession looming over everyone. This is a time that you want to roll this shit out
This
because
is really a time where you want to do this.
a lot of people nowadays have actually been able to make a living off of it, and now you're taking away livelihoods because of
Exactly.
corporate greed. And the thing is, yeah, sure, 150 million is not where you want to be, but there are other ways to do it than just trying to, steal from the people you're asking to buy your content, right? That to me is
Exactly.
like high levels of arrogance and just naive, and whoa, god damn,
It's
it's like
naive. They
naivete,
think
yeah.
people will just take anything. And I'm glad that the D&D community is to the point where it is to where we can step up and say, "Hey, we're not going to tolerate this." And all we have to do now is continue to push and put the foot down on Wizards' neck to make them not make these types of changes to the game. Because at this point, hey, they're throwing it up in flames. They're throwing away all that goodwill, all us. Because if they, let's say they tried something small, right?
Hmm.
Let's say they tried, okay, hey, guys, we're not making enough money. We need to put a little bit of royalties on this. If it was just royalties, I don't think the uproar would have been as bad.
Not
It
even
was
that,
the
like the
fact that they
simplest thing
want
they
to
can do,
change
right?
their content effectively.
The simplest thing that they could have done is literally just make a, again, like I said, a partnership system, or maybe like a
Yes.
Wizard of the Coast presents, and you could feature creators with their like own specific books. I mean,
Yeah, and that's a great thing because then, hey, Wizards, you're getting community goodwill because you're promoting creators within your own community and you're getting a small cut of the profit. Nah, you know what they wanted? They want 25 fucking percent of all sales that go above $750,000.
And it's not even just like purely Wizards of the Coast stuff. Like even if you released it on Kickstarter, bro, Kickstarter is literally like crowdfunding. How are you going to take money from that?
You're gonna
So
take money from crowd-funded projects? Amazing, Wizards, amazing. So you're gonna take the money that people are feeding a creator to do something really awesome
it's
for the
like,
community and
bro,
create something a
people
lot of
like
people want to
Ivy
see.
dripping creators like little bits of money, like $3 here, $4 there, and you want to take 25% of that? How greedy can you truly be?
Exactly. It's ridiculous. 25%. Now, let's say they did our suggested idea,
Hmm.
a program where, hey, you invite creators. Hey, why don't you form a partnership with us? We're gonna promote your content. We're gonna promote your Kickstarter. We're gonna make it official not official D&D content, but we're gonna make it, Wizard sponsored content.
Hmm.
Promote it, put it up on a pedestal, tweet it out, put it on our website, put it on D&D Beyond for you, all that good stuff, right?
And
We're
in
gonna do that
return,
for you.
you can ask for like, I don't know, 5 to 15%, depending on who
Yeah,
they are.
5 to 15% sounds about fair to me. Because at the end of the day, hey, yeah, they're gonna make less money off of it, but it's
And I
still
think
not that
I think the
significant of
difference
a
between
downside.
what we're suggesting and what they're suggesting is people can opt into it, right? With this open gaming license that they're trying to push through, there's no there's no agency. You can't choose to be a part of
You
this.
can't choose to be a part of it.
You're either on board or you're completely against and you can't make anything. With the partnership program,
Exactly.
if you choose to be that, then you get resources from Wizards of the Coast. They get money back. It's an equal partnership, right?
Exactly.
And I feel like people have probably thought about this. I mean, you and I are not like special people. We're not like intellectually like high IQ or whatever. We're just
Yeah,
common people. And I'm pretty sure that the people at Wizard of the Coast probably had thought about this, but they ignored it because they were probably like, you know what, 15, 5, 10%, that's not enough for us. We need more, more, more.
more. We need to really boost our. Okay, I'm looking it up now.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards of the Coast made 1.3 million last year off of off of D&D alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough for them. With the new CEO coming in and saying something like players are under monetized. Think about how fucked up that sounds. Think about how absolutely
I think.
brain dead and unaware that sounds. And I get you're talking to investors and you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to corporate guys in a meeting room at a board meeting trying to discuss the future of the company, but players are under monetized. Un do you know how unhumanizing that is of the players, of people who have lives, of people who have other responsibilities outside of your game, of people who need to make enough money to feed their families,
I
put a
think it's
roof over their head,
very.
clothe themselves?
I think it's very reflective of where, or not even just where. I think it's very reflective of the market itself, right? If you look at like,
Corporate culture.
yeah, if you look at gaming or movies, as I talked about before, they don't care about the consumers. Very few care about consumers. They essentially just see us as a mass.
They see this as a pool of money.
Not even that. They see us as obstacles to what they believe is rightfully their money. If you really think about it,
Exactly.
right? Because you probably have heard of this, maybe you haven't, but Fortnite, really big company,
Yeah, Epic
Epic
Games.
Games, they make a lot of money, but how do they make it? By tricking consumers with all of this artificial inflation, like, oh my gosh, there's this new sale out. If you don't get it now, it'll be gone forever. It's like
I don't
it is
think that's necessarily bad.
psychological. It's psychologically made with our animalistic brains in mind, so that we will be essentially forced or opt into buying whatever they're trying to sell, because evolutionary speaking, that's how we've been developed. It's like, okay, if I don't get this now, right, then I'm gonna die in the future, right? Because 50 years ago, that's what it was. It's not like that anymore, but our brains still think the same way. And so when it comes to like all of these sales or deals or like the battle pass or whatever, it's the same exact thing.
And
They're
I don't think
trying.
that's necessarily a bad thing, though. I don't think that it's bad that these people in these companies try their best to make money the way they can. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. What I think is a bad thing is when you actively abuse a community of people who use your product. When you dehumanize them to the extent of they are undermonetized. That quote alone pissed me off. D&D players are undermonetized. What the hell? It's not the idea of, hey, they're using these animalistic and these deeply ingrained instincts in our minds to try to get us to buy product fairly. I think that's a fair way to get people to try to buy your product. Okay, limited time deal, you can get this, and this for this price. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's more consumer friendly for companies because companies don't ever have to offer deals. They don't. That is something that they choose to do in order to
I
hopefully
think there
boost
must be a
sales
distinction
and
though. I
goodwill.
think there has to be a distinction. Because if you're marketing that towards kids, I think that's where the problem is, right? Because they are not mature enough to realize, hey, all of this is fake. This is just like because once you get older, you realize, okay, like if I skip this out, nothing really matters. Because here's the thing: you don't need to buy anything to play Fortnite, right? Like the game is
No,
free. Every
you can get the game for free and default skin it up, my guy.
exactly, but because their main demographic is kids, they have to use all of this like psychoanalytic bullshittery just to
And
make
that's where
them.
parents come in.
But
That's
here's
where parents come in. And I think it's a parent's responsibility to watch their kid. What is your kid doing? Why is your kid spending money on this, and that? I think that's a parent thing.
and
I think parents should bear a bit more responsibility.
tying that back into Wizard of the Coast, right? With this open gaming license, there is no authority. There's no like oversight. They just take. There's no yeah, I guess there really is no oversight of like, oh, okay, you're using our materials or 1D&D and you're not really changing it. You're essentially like, plagiarizing our material. You're using our IP. You're not really making transformative content. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair enough. You can take that money. However, if people like take what you've made and they add on to that and they make a completely
They make
different.
compatible systems
Right. If they make or
because D&D is modular.
exactly, and if they make something completely new, you're still going to go after that. That's where a lot of people are so adverse against it because you're essentially taking away someone's hard work and they get no benefit out of it. And they're forced into it as well. There's no way to
Yeah.
opt out of the system.
Yeah, you either get on this OGL, you make content, give us 25% and shut the hell up about it.
Or fuck off. And here's the
Or
thing.
fuck off. Yeah.
And here's the thing. That's what we're saying. If you don't agree with a company, fuck off. Let them take the losses. You don't owe them anything. There
Yeah.
are like alternatives to
There are
everything.
alternatives. Look, that's one of the biggest things. D&D, if they continue to press on with this change, continue to ignore the community outcry, backlash, and they just try to loop it back in later, they are going to give all the competitors who they just shot down from making D&D 5e compatible content just more of an edge to go back to their own systems that they've created, improve those systems, and people are going to start playing those because I'm pretty sure other companies are going to look at how Wizards of the Coast has ruined their goodwill with their community by making this change, and they're gonna say, okay, we just won't do that, and we'll just make better content because Wizards isn't being pushed to make better content. They're not being pushed to be consumer friendly, and that's the problem with them gaining goodwill for such a long time. They gained a lot of goodwill over time because they were just a decent company about everything. The problem is now that you're not being a decent company, all these other companies who you just screwed over, they're going to be pissed. They're going to look
I
at this.
think
They're
there
going to
was
be
a
like,
little bit
okay,
of
make our own
I
stuff.
I think one of the biggest things, and I think the reason why they're doing this is, as you said, because of Critical Role, because of Dimension 20, because of all of this other stuff, where people became really famous for it, and they're like, damn, that's our shit. They used our stuff to get rich. Nah,
And it's not like they haven't dealt with this before because Blood Hunter, Blood Hunter exists. Matthew Mercer made
Blood
that,
Hunter,
and they've
Gunslinger. I think
officially
Elringer was
sanctioned it
also
to an
his,
extent.
if not mistaken.
Elringer, Blood Hunter, they've worked with even Gunslinger. They've worked with Matthew Mercer to do this stuff, even if it's not completely official D&D sanctioned content. It's promoted by Wizards of the Coast. They've worked with him on this type of stuff. This is what they could do with creators. They could officially sanction their books. They could do this. And instead, they're just going for the most greedy approach possible and the approach that's going to make them the most money, regardless of how the community feels about it. And that is the thing that pisses me off the most. It's ridiculous how these companies they get a little bit of love from their community and they all of a sudden think that their community is gonna back them in whatever they do.
They also think that we're just a small minority, or as you said before, a silent majority. And I think
Majority.
we have to be clear. We have to essentially vote with our money. In that, hey, if you're gonna screw us, and if you're gonna do all of this bullshit, we're just not gonna buy your product. We'll go somewhere else. And I think that's
Exactly.
true for YouTube and Rumble, Wizard of the Coast and Pathfinder, the MCU. Like it can be applied anywhere. And I think that's the
Yeah.
greater message here. If you don't agree with a company or its product, don't buy it. Go somewhere else. There's 100 thousands of different alternatives to everything. You think just because you don't like Elon Musk, you can't buy a Tesla? You can't buy an electric car? There's so many other electric car companies out there. Why is
And here's how
Tesla's
dumb people can be sometimes. Look at
mm-hmm,
this. Look at this.
right?
People really started to not like Elon Musk because he took over Twitter and he made some changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
People went so far as to sell their paid off Tesla. You're not hurting Elon Musk
You
anymore.
bought the Tesla. That's
You
still
bought the Tesla.
he has the
He
money.
has the money. It's not gonna hurt him one bit if you sell your Tesla. At that point, the dealership has the car.
Mm-hmm.
They sell you the car. The bank pays for the car. Okay, the bank pays for the car in full, gives you that lease, not the lease, they finance it for you. They pay for the car, let you have the car, and you're basically borrowing it until you pay them back. Elon has his money. He got his money the moment you put your name on the dotted line.
And I think that's what Wizards is trying to do. They're trying to let this all blow over because they know that a great no. I'm not going to make any guesses on how many because I don't have that information. However, I think they believe that a number of people will just completely ignore this or be clueless to this, still sign off, and when this thing goes through and they start making their own content, just for their friends or for homebrew campaigns or one shots on the weekends or whatever, that's when they're going to strike. They think that if they just keep silent about this, things will blow over. Sure, people will be out and yelling for a week, 2 weeks, a month. It's like that Rick and Morty scene where it's like, what? Give it like, what, 2 weeks tops or whatever, and they go into a portal, and it's like 3 months later they come back out. This is exactly what's happening. Wizard of the Coast think that if they just lay low, people will ignore it, and they'll be able to push this through. But we have to make it clear to them that it's not an option.
Constantly push this into our head,
Mm-hmm.
not through just maybe outcry, not through just saying stuff, through action. You can't be buying their books. You can't be paying subscriptions to D&D Beyond.
You can only say so much, but you have to prove it in what you do, right?
Exactly. Like, I don't know about you, but I've already canceled my D&D Beyond subscription.
Fun fact: never had D&D Beyond to begin with.
D&D Beyond, mine has been canceled. I pay monthly.
Mm-hmm.
I could have paid a year at a time. I'm glad I paid monthly. I canceled it. I got about 2 days left on my D&D Beyond, and then it's gone. And then I'm not putting any more money onto them because why would I? Why would I feed a company who doesn't give a damn about me? And it's not even. And here's the thing: they don't realize that their D&D isn't a necessary utility. Wizards of the Coast, you are not. a electric company. You are not a automobile company. You are not
You're
a company that
mm,
is needed for basic human survival. You're a hobby.
not even a hobby. You're entertainment. You're supposed to entertain us. That's
Yeah,
your whole point. Taking money away from us is not entertaining to anyone.
yeah. And it's just this type of mentality that's going to be leads to the ultimate downfall of D&D from being the most popular TTRPG. And I'm looking to get into Means and Masterminds a little bit more because
Hmm.
I've got a basically very rudimentary standpoint.
Hmm.
But it looks like we play a lot of anime campaigns. We like a lot of anime campaigns. So at this point, Means and Masterminds, from what I understand from the system, it's a lot better for that because it gives you a little bit more. It's really good for like superhero campaigns and stuff where you have like superpowers and stuff.
Gotcha.
That
So there's
system
a
is
lot more
just
like versatility and flexibility, I suppose.
well, it's not versatility and flexibility. It's not as modular as D&D,
Hmm.
but well, it's very modular. It's about modular like D&D, and sure, it doesn't have as much created content for it already, but that's the thing about it. It fits well into a myriad of different types of games you want to run.
I see. Okay.
So, with that, I think we've pretty much aired out Wizards of the Coast enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
We ran
is
it
there
through the
anything you'd like to
dryer, my
add?
guy.
Right through the gyre. Yeah,
If
it's
there's anything that I could say before we end it for today, I think no matter who it is, no matter what the company is, no matter if it's, a big corporation or your mom and pop shop, if you don't like the company, if you don't like its content, just don't buy it. Nothing is, having a gun to your head saying you have to buy this. It's all your money. Choose how you spend it wisely. That's really the only thing you can say on that topic.
yep, it's your money. So if you choose to continue supporting Wizards of the Coast, that's completely up to you. If anyone wants to continue doing that, that's great for you. But me personally, I'm not going to support a company that doesn't respect me as a consumer.